Today I am coming with a new topic. Why biofuels are not catching momentum. I am Kochubai Bhimanuran and you are watching SKBM videos. Biofuels are considered carbon neutral because the plants that are the sources of the feedstocks for making biodiesel absorb carbon dioxide as they grow. The absorption of carbon dioxide by these plants offsets the carbon dioxide that generates while making and burning biofuels. Carbon neutrality means having a balance between the emitting carbon and the absorbing carbon from the atmosphere. Biofuels are produced through contemporary processes from renewable energy sources like organic matter, algae, biomass, etc. Examples of biofuels include ethanol, biodiesel, green diesel, biogas, etc. The two most common types of biofuels in use are bioethanol and biodiesel. Bioethanol is an alcohol made by fermentation, mostly from carbohydrates obtained from sugar or starch crops. Bioethanol can be used as a fuel, either pure or blended with gasoline. In the United States, it is used as a 10% solution in gasoline, whereas in Brazil it is blended up to 24%. It is worthwhile to mention here that bioethanol is totally biodegradable, sulfur-free and reduces tailpipe emissions. The raw materials that can be used for bioethanol fermentations are sugar crops, starchy crops and cellulosic crops. Of these, starchy crops and cellulosic crops need pre-treatment to make fermentation possible. Corn is generally used in USA, China, etc., whereas in tropical areas like India, Brazil, Colombia, etc., sugarcane is used more. The first generation biofuels refer to the fuels that have been derived from sources like starch, sugar, animal fats, and vegetable oil. For bioethanol production, single-celled microorganisms called yeast, mainly belonging to the Saccharomyces genus, are added to the slurry. The optimum temperature range for yeast fermentation is 32 to 35 degrees centigrade. Every degree above this range reduces the fermentation rate. It can be seen that when yeast cells are kept in an anaerobic environment, that is without oxygen, they start alcoholic fermentation. The optimum pH range for ethanol fermentation is 4 to 5. Agitation rate is 150 to 200 rpm and the optimal ratio of sugar and microorganism is 200 gram per liter and 30 gram per liter. Disadvantage of first generation biofuels is that they come from biomass that is also a food source. This presents a problem when we have no enough food to feed everyone. Coming to the chemistry behind, the enzyme invertase produced by yeast converts sucrose or sugar into glucose and fructose, which are then converted to ethanol by the enzyme zymase, also produced by yeast. The distillation of ethanol formed by fermentation will give only hydrous or azeotropic ethanol containing 95.5% weight ethanol and 4.5% water. To remove the remaining water, special processes like chemical dehydration, vacuum distillation, azeotropic distillation, extractive distillation, etc. are employed to get the anhydrous ethanol which can be used as biofuel. Second generation bioethanol is produced from non-food crops including the waste from food crops, agricultural residue, wood chips, and waste cooking oil, which contain cellulose, hemicellulose, or lignin. Technology involves separation of lignin and cellulose of the plant so that cellulose can be fermented into alcohol. Industrial production of bioethanol from a second generation raw material like corn stover involves four processes. Number 1, pre-treatment to separate hemicellulose and lignin from cellulose. Number 2 is hydrolysis of cellulose to obtain fermentable sugars. Number 3, fermentation to convert sugars into ethanol. And number 4, distillation to separate and purify the ethanol obtained. Although second generation bioethanol come from non-food biomass, still they compete with food production for land use. Third generation bioethanol focus on the use of microorganisms or marine organisms such as algae, including both microalgae as well as macroalgae. Algae are known to produce biomass faster and on reduced land surface as compared to lignocellulosic biomass. Hence, third generation biofuels are considered as the best feedstock for bioethanol production as they do not compete with food. Fourth generation biofuels focus on genetically engineered high yielding biomass with low lignin and cellulosic contents and metabolically engineered algae with high oil content. The idea behind is synthetic biology, which makes engineering of biological systems possible. It will enable direct conversion of solar energy to a fuel from inexhaustible raw materials, sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide. In future, such solar biofuels produced in engineered photosynthetic microorganisms will become synthetic living factories. Cyanobacteria, also known as blue-green bacteria, and blue-green algae is a phylum of bacteria that obtain their energy through photosynthesis. Advantageous properties of bioethanol as fuel are higher octane number, evaporation enthalpy and flame speed, and wider range of flammability. Ethanol fuel gives higher compression ratio with shorter burning time and better theoretical efficiency in an IC engine. Moreover, it can be used as a transportation fuel directly or blended with gasoline called gasohol. Bioethanol is an oxygenated fuel containing 35% oxygen so that it can keep down emissions of particulate and nitrogen oxides as well as other greenhouse gases during combustion. Coming to biodiesel, biodiesel can be defined as fatty acid methyl ester FAME or fatty acid ethyl ester FAWE from vegetable oils or animal fats. The significant advantages of biodiesel over conventional fossil-based diesel fuels include cleaner engine emissions, its status as a renewable energy source, and superior lubricating property. It is biodegradable and also non-toxic. It can be used as a fuel in vehicles in its pure form B100 or as blended in diesel to an extent of 20% to reduce emissions of particulates, carbon monoxide and hydrocarbons from diesel powered vehicles. There are four primary ways to make biodiesel. They are direct use and blending, pyrolysis, microemulsions and transesterification. Of these, the most commonly used method is transesterification of vegetable oils and animal fats. Disadvantages of direct use or direct blending of vegetable oils are double layer formation, gum formation, carbon deposits, increased smoke and ring sticking. Pyrolysis is a thermal cracking process where biomass is heated in the absence of oxygen to about 400 to 500 degrees centigrade to get bio oil, which is then upgraded by hydrotreating and hydrocracking. Disadvantages of this method are expensive nature of the equipment for pyrolysis, side product formation, and lack of an effective catalyst. A microemulsion is a colloidal equilibrium dispersion of two normally immiscible liquids of 1 to 150 nm dimensions. Main disadvantage of this method are injector needle sticking, incomplete combustion, carbon deposits, and increase in lubricating oil viscosity. In transesterification, a glyceride reacts with an alcohol in the presence of a catalyst, forming fatty acid alkyl esters. Advantages of this method are cost effectiveness and high conversion efficiency, improved fuel characteristics, glycerol getting as byproduct, and can be employed with a variety of feedstocks. Here you can see commonly used feedstocks worldwide for biodiesel production. Here you can see a comparison of first, second, third and fourth generation biodiesel feedstocks. Here you can see a comparison of the oil content and productivity of the different feedstocks used for biodiesel production. Coming to industrial configuration for biodiesel production, we can see a packed bed reactor with input, output and recycle. Optimum conditions are process temperature 50 to 100 degrees centigrade, residence time 30 to 140 minutes, methyl alcohol to oil ratio 16 to 30 and catalyst loading 3 to 11 weight percentage. Reagents of the esterification process are free fatty acids contained in the oil and low cost methanol. The common alkali catalysts being employed are sodium hydroxide, sodium methoxide and potassium hydroxide. The packed bed catalytic reactor helps to minimize catalyst mechanical damage in the slurry reactor due to continuous stirring. Here you can see the way transesterification reaction happens during biodiesel formation. Here you can see the important properties of biodiesel. So friends, we are coming to the conclusions. Of course, biofuels have a number of advantages as they are fairly easy to transport, have decent energy densities, and can be used with minor modifications to existing technology and infrastructure. But the problem with growing crops for biofuel is that they may take up land that could be otherwise used for growing food. This may lead to more land area getting devoted to agriculture, increased use of polluting inputs and fertilizers, and higher food prices. Massive quantities of water are required for proper irrigation of biofuel crops as well as to manufacture the fuel, which could strain local and regional water resources. Other disadvantages that can arise in a biofuel driven economy are large scale deforestation of mature trees, which help remove carbon dioxide much better than sugarcane and other biofuel feedstocks. It will contribute to soil erosion, unsustainable increase of greenhouse gas levels, loss of habitat, and reduction of valuable biodiversity. In a world with a population of around 7.8 billion that is already short on food, definitely we cannot imagine a compromise between food crop and biofuel feedstock.
I am leaving you with this. Did you enjoy this video? If your answer is yes, please like, share and subscribe. Your support is really meaningful to me. Thanks a lot and see you next time with a new topic. A big thanks.